I grew up in a school in an area where I was one of very few English kids, and even myself, I'm 40% English. I was born and raised here, and so was my mum, but my granddad wasn't. So where do I stand? Well, I've always felt like I'm British and I'm English, and I think I am. I mean, what does that even mean, right? But then, nevertheless, I grew up with a lot of different ways of life, cultures, religions, races, foods, and it was normal. I didn't really care. People would show me the way they do things and celebrate things and cook things, and I was always really excited. I think all of us was to understand each other to a certain degree, and it became quite normal. For us as kids, our generation is quite normal because we all really grew up together. Um, in this mixing pot of things, for the most part, we all got along really well. So it confuses me when I see the older generation, people that didn't grow up like that, scared, worried, and quite frankly, quite hateful towards things they don't know. And I get it. I get it. You fear what you don't know, right? But unfortunately, with fear comes anger, and with anger comes hatred. And that's what I see happening right now, where people don't understand a lot of walks of life. They don't understand a lot of cultures, a lot of religions, a lot of food cuisines. And because of that, they fear it. Whereas our generation, we're quite lucky to have grown up with each other. So we don't see it as weird or strange or something we don't know, because we all know each other well enough to be okay with it, to realize that it's not something to fear. Immigration from 2021 to 2024 has brought in 4 million immigrants, right? Now, my standpoint is, as long as it's done legally, I don't really care. Come, I'm happy. We are one of the richest countries in the world. We can handle it. We can handle it. We like to think we can't, and we like to say, oh, but I can't buy bread for 20p anymore. Well, yeah, but you are also literally in the richest country in the world. If you are the poorest, and I know this because I have one of these people, if you are one of the poorest in this country, you are still probably one of the top percentages in the world, right? So think about that for a second. If you're the poorest here, you are still pretty rich by the world standard. So I say we can handle it. And that is coming from someone that has been poor most of their life. Now, here's the problem that I have. After that, after they come in, I don't care. I'm glad do whatever, right? As long as it's legal, it's above flow, we don't care. The problem is not getting along. That's the big problem. No matter who's throwing the stone, the stone is still being thrown, right? So why are we not getting along, right? Because London especially has been pretty good at allowing people to assimilate into the culture, into the working system of London. We pride ourselves on it most of the time, and for most of the time we have done a really, really good job. You can walk down the streets and see loads of different people, races, religions. You can see different worshiping places. You can see different food cuisines. You could see people playing different games of different cultures. And I think to people that live in London, this is normal for us, right? And if you grew up like that, it doesn't even tick on your radar. But honestly, most places outside of London are not like that. It's very strange for people to understand that. When they come here and they look around, they just see a rainbow, right? And they don't like, they're like, what? Huh? How? For the most part, it's worked. But obviously, as of late, we are being told that it's not working. Why? Why is it not working? Why have all of a sudden it's not working? I'm not here to argue what I think. I'm here to put this to you so that you can have an opinion or what you think. because I'd like to know. I'd genuinely like to know. There's two ways about it, right? Either it is working, but we are being portrayed that it isn't, or it's not working, right? There's just one or two ways. Okay, so let's take the standpoint of it's not working. Now, if it's not working, why? Well, there is loads of reasons, right? And a lot of people have ideas and things. Here's my point. If it's not working, so let's take, for instance, you have 5 nerds or geeks, right? They're really good with computers, they like gaming, and you have 5 footballers, right? And they're of the same age, right? The 5 footballers, they like to, they're outdoorsy, they're outgoing, they love sports, whatnot. So in this scene, with them being footballers, they'll probably play on the same team, so they'll be more surrounded by team efforts, right? They're really good working in a team, right? Whereas the geeks, where they play games against each other most of the time, they might be a bit more competitive, right? So if you take the sports kid, one of them, and you put him in with the geeks, right? Over time, if that person spends a year with them, some things that he does, says, and acts will change over time, right? Because of the influence of the rest of the group. Because the rest of the group are like this, he will then slowly change certain things he does to accommodate the group, to make sense, to fit in, basically. It's a normal human necessity to fit in. It's survival of the fittest, basically. It's you don't want to get rejected from your tribe, if you will, right? And the same thing for the geek. If you take the one geek and you put him in here, he might become more team orientated, and he might learn things like even being out. He will become healthier. He might become even more happier, things like that, right? It will just change. Like, things will change because of the acceptance of the group. Yeah. Now, here's what I see a lot of the time, right? You have London right now, where, let's be real, there's not a lot of the same culture as it used to be, let's say 100 years ago, which is the standard, right? The oh, hello sir, and whatever, the culture of being nice and polite and whatnot. Like, in London, politeness is a very big thing. It's a culture thing, right? That we like to be polite. We say sorry, we say thank you constantly. Now, this is something by an English standard. Everywhere else in the world couldn't really give a monkey's, right? This is something that it's a very English thing to be polite, right? Now, if you have, let's say, in London, 2 polite Englishmen, right? This is their culture, this is who they are, whatever, right? And you have 5 immigrants come in. Now, what happens? Well, here's the thing, from what I can understand, is they are no longer the majority. And because of that, it's not the immigrants accepting the culture of the Englishman. It's actually the Englishman accepting the culture of the immigrant, right? And that is not necessarily a bad thing. But I think a lot of people are seeing it as a bad thing, and they say that London it's losing its culture, it's losing this and it's losing that. Okay, I mean it might be doing that. That doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing, but what it is doing is it's losing its that culture. But really, that's just a hypothesis. I don't really know much, but I think I've tried to explain it as basic as I can from my head to you guys. For me, I don't really see it as being a bad thing. At the same time, I can definitely understand how, our culture is kind of being whittled out in a way. And I get it. I get the upset from it. But I don't believe that is actually what's happening. I just put that as a hypothesis, if in fact that is what is actually happening. But I sway more to the right or the left, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but here's what I think. I was watching Top Boy, and in Top Boy, in season 3, I believe, they come and take one of the boys away that has come over from a different country when he was a wee baby. And at the time, you didn't need a passport for a baby, right? So they could just come right on in, which is fair enough, I think. Anyway, they've changed that law now, and it is no longer applies. So basically, anyone that's been brought here as a kid, and they've grown up here, they've been raised here, they don't know nothing different other than London or England, they can be deported, right? Which is that's insane, by the way. That's like crazy, right? Because you're basically being deported back to a country that you've never even seen, heard, don't speak the language, don't know anyone. It's insane, right? It should never happen. And the police come and then they take this kid. Like I say kid, he's like a young adult, right? And they take him and they put him in the van, and a couple people gather around this van and they sit down. They don't let him be taken, right? And they sit there pretty much, for hours and hours and hours, and they protest that he does not go, right? And it's great, and he gets released, and life goes on. But here's my thing. I got asked by my girlfriend, do you think that would really happen? Like, do you think they would really release him? And the thing is, we don't know, right, if they would. But the fact is if you had about 200 people protecting one person over a simple deportation thing, they haven't done anything wrong, I think that they would release him, because it would be more hassle than it's worth. And that's really what you want to get at. That's really what I want to get at. Is that individually, we have no power. We have zero. As the people down here, we have zero power. But together, we become more of a hassle than it's worth. And that's what you need to understand, is we are more of a hassle when we are together than when we are split apart. And I think that the higher-ups, in their weird little way, are doing a very good job of dividing us so much. Because it's in their best interest. When we don't talk to each other, when we don't bind together for real situations, it is beautiful for the person at the top. Because you guys are no one here, me, you, will never be a problem by ourselves. Never. You can move one person out of the way. Can't move 7 million out of the way though. You can't move 45 million out of the way. So I say to you, no matter who you are, what culture you come from, the life you've lived, whatnot, understand that the real enemy is never facing you. The real enemy never does that. They're smarter than that. They're nowhere to be seen. The person sitting in front of you is never your enemy. I promise you, if you can see them and you can talk to them, they're right there, and you can allow them to understand you, and you can understand them, and you can do them that same courtesy, I can almost promise you that that is never the enemy. The real enemy is whoever is pinning you two against each other. And they're doing a very, very good job of it. I saw this on Louis Theroux documentary, I'm pretty sure anyway, I'm pretty sure it was, I don't know if I'll 100% get it correct, but basically you have this geezer that he's in the Ku Klux Klan, right? And for anyone that doesn't know, that's basically like a racist group that hate black people, mostly. And he's like, oh, where are you off to? Louis is like, where are you off to? And he's like, oh, I'm going to go see my friend, right? And it's a black guy, right? And, I'm not 100% sure if this is how it goes, but basically Louis goes, well, you're racist. Like, why are you going to go see a black guy? And he's like, yeah, no, it's okay, he's racist too. And it's funny because you don't really understand that these two people, right? This Ku Klux member and this other guy, this black guy, right? They hate each other on their opinions and their views, but they can be civil still, right? It's crazy because there are some people that they have the slightest disagreement and they'll have a fight over it. Whereas these guys, these are pretty big disputes, right? This is a big part of the way of thinking. And they're still getting along. They're still like, hey, let's just get along, even though we have these mad different views. And it blows my mind, because if people like that with such crazy views can get along still, oh, come on. Surely we can get along. Somehow, some way, we can still get along. Don't let the enemy that you don't see make the enemy in front of you seem 10 times worse than they are. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.